Hey, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to episode number 4 of the Unlocking Excellence podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Eric Schwefel. I hope that you're having a great day. I think that's the first time that I've called myself Mr. in years. Anyway, I hope things are going well. I hope that you're having a great day so far. We've got a great episode planned for you today. So if you haven't checked out the other 3, please go ahead and check those out. Today, I'm going to talk to you about what type of person are you? What type of person are you? I'm going to give you 3 distinct characteristics, 3 distinct type of people. And in this description, you're going to see different traits in all 3 of who you are. You're going to see different characteristics, different traits, things that you might feel describe you, and that's great. You're going to notice it in all 3. I've noticed it in all 3 whenever I saw this, and this really influenced me. It's from a great book. It's called Straightline Leadership by Dusan. I can't pronounce his last name, but his initials are DD. Straightline Leadership, and this book has really changed my life. And I really like the way that they describe these different types of people. So let's go ahead and dive straight into it. In this book, there are 3 types of people that are described. And the first type of person is what's known as a circular person. The second type of person is known as a zigzag person. And the third, go figure, it's called a straight line person. And that comes from the book Straightline Leadership. So I'm sure that you've heard these different distinctions between people before. What type of person are you? You're either this or that, or you're this or that, or whatever it might be. You know, a person that says tomato, or a person that says tomato, or potato. And there's a little bit of issue that I have with that, in the sense of I'm not really a big person to talk about the all or nothing principle, the either or the it has to be black or white, right? I really enjoy living in the gray. I believe that each situation is unique. There are different circumstances, and you've got to definitely be aware of the context of whatever it is that you're handling, dealing with, solving, mediating in the moment, right? It can't always be a yes or no answer. However, when you're dealing with results, it's a completely different thing. Either you got the results or you didn't, right? It can be an either or, it can be a both and situation, it can be an all or none situation. So what we're going to talk about for sake of results is going to be that all or nothing, that black or white type of distinction. You either got the results and you did what you said you were going to do, or you didn't get the results and it didn't happen in the way that you wanted it to. It doesn't mean that it was a bad outcome. It just didn't happen in the way that you wanted it to. So with the circle persons, you can imagine what this is, right? Think about a certain result that you wanted in life. For me, that is always what I always talk about is losing weight, gaining muscle, creating your body how you want it to be created, right? I've been a strength and conditioning coach going on now for close to 11, 12 years, I think, somewhere in that time frame. And I can't tell you how many hundreds of people, hopefully thousands at this point, but hundreds of people that I've talked to and I've watched lose weight and change their entire lives, just to watch them go back and gain all the weight that they lost in our time together, or when they were really pursuing their health, when they were in that season for health. You see, the reason that we believe that we believe that we'll find success by getting information, by constantly loading up on information. And when we finally have that information, we'll begin to implement it for a little while. But that's the biggest difference between getting the information or getting the results and not getting the results. You can gather as much information as you would like, but if you don't implement the information that you receive, that you acquire, then how are you any better than you were before? Now, you can answer that by saying you're smarter, but are you any closer to getting the result that you set out for in the first place? The answer could be no. So the first person is the circular person. It's the person who goes through the motions, who gets into a routine of things. It works out for a little bit. They get the information they need, and that's all that it really was. They have the information they need. They move forward thinking that they have the results, and they move through that vicious circle. What I see in the gym all the time is somebody joins the gym for days, weeks, months. It just depends on their particular cycle. They'll get the results that they want, that 10 pounds that they lose over and over and over. And then something happens, whether it's life. I think personally it's a mindset thing. It's a choice that they make, but it happens in life, and they're unable to make it into the gym as much. They're unable to make the commitment that they want to make. They're unable to internally transform. Now, transformation, what does that mean here? It's altering who you are being. It's an alternating of where you're coming from, learning to live in a straight line to where you want to be. It's about learning to always find the shortest distance between you and your objective. You see, when you're making circles, you get to your result, but it takes a while. And then you just end up right back where you started. And it's exhausting doing the same thing over and over and over. And I'm not talking about just days. I'm not talking about just months. I'm talking about years of doing the same thing over and over and over. The thing that we're looking for, right, for a circular person in order to get them out is to make a certain distinction. The most effective tool for breaking the cycle of the cycle of these mental circles is to make a certain distinction, which is like an insight, right? It's a clear grasping of new choices that are available. It's seeing that you don't have to keep acting and being the same person or doing the same thing over and over. I don't know if you know this, but doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result is called insanity. All right. So I hope you get a pretty good general idea of what a circular person is. We can go even deeper into what a circle person is, but you get the idea, right? We're doing the same thing over and over and over, getting the same result, but wishing for something different. The second person is going to be that zigzag person. Okay, the zigzag person goes between getting the result, living with the result for a little bit, and then going right back into the circular time frame or the circular state of being, right? So the zigzag person, this is a great one to be in. And the reason why I say that is because you are like this close to getting everything that you want, the results that you want, but there's something that keeps bringing you back into the old habits. You keep repeating the cycle. You might get a temporary high, like you're feeling really good. It's the time to do it. But then from there, old habits set in. You go back to the old way of life. You start treating yourself the same, others the same. It's not necessarily a conscious choice, but it's something that you do over and over. It's kind of like you're sleepwalking, through life. You're on autopilot. So one of the common causes of this is just apathy. It's a lack of strategy. It's a lack of structure in life. It's a matter of not being fully conscious that you're stuck, right? So they have all these different sales seminars and emotional intelligence seminars and all these different retreats, and they do a great job of raising the awareness of the person that you were being, right? So I was getting the results that I was getting because I was being this person. They do a really good job of getting you mentally aware and excited. However, what happens is there's not any strategy or accountability in place once you leave in order to maintain that level of excellence. So we end up falling back into our old habits. And startup energy, right, should only have to be generated once, is having to restart projects and actions. And when you have that startup energy over and over and over and over, right, you keep having to restart that journey, whatever it might be, you get burned out. How many times do you want to try to lose weight? How many times do you want to try to eat better, right? I think the rule of thumb, what sociologists have determined, is that humans really go for three tries and then we give up or we move on, right? If they did an experiment, a social experiment in an elevator where a person would stand next to a stranger in the elevator, and the first time that person would move to the side and they wouldn't say anything when they got within the stranger's personal space. The second time the stranger might move, they might say something, but like 90% of the time after that, don't quote me on numbers, 90% of the time after that, strangers would say something on the third interference, the third breaking of the social norm of not talking to somebody or not getting into the personal space on an elevator, right? So usually it's that third attempt that we say, just screw it, I don't want to do this anymore. And then the third type of person, right, is the straight line person. It's the person that takes the shortest route, goes A to B. It's almost like what I would say a business mindset, right? It doesn't really matter how you feel. You may be uncomfortable in this, but guess what? You're uncomfortable. And the first thing that you do when you start operating from this is you learn that you have to operate at a very high level of awareness and performance, and you have to notice where you're operating from. Oh, I don't feel like doing this. Okay, are you operating from an empowered stance, or are you operating from a disempowered stance? Again, I'm not too big personally on this black and white either or scale, but when it comes down to getting results, it's so effective, y'all. It is so effective. So the clear distinction to make is, are you understanding it or are you living it? For losing weight, gaining muscle, creating the body and the results that you want in life, whether it's financially, in relationships, or with your body. You know that you have to eat better. You know that you have to exercise. You know that you've got to drink water and get sleep. You know that in order to be respected, you've got to respect others, right? The golden rule, I believe it's treat others how you want to be treated. Are you actually understanding those principles and implementing and living them? Or do you just know them, right? Yes. Are you understanding it or are you living it? Because there's a clear difference between the two of them, right? So, but Eric, it's scary. But I don't know if I can do it. Those guys, the people that can get results right away, they're just better than me. Excuses, excuses, excuses. I want to read you a piece that I wrote down, some notes that I wrote down here. It doesn't matter if the doer has fear or if they lack experience or if they lack confidence. We just want to see you take action. The universe rewards the action taken. It doesn't matter if you have a lack of confidence or total unshakable confidence. It's not about that. It's about doing the deed. And by doing the deed, I mean what's required to get the results that you intend. How would your life change if you could learn to give 100% with or without fear? This is a quote by Renee Auberjonois. Show me a guy who's afraid to look bad, and I'll show you a guy you can beat every time. Show me a guy who's afraid to look bad, and I'll show you a guy you can beat every time. You see, most of the time we think we need to get prepared and we need to have all these crazy things in place before we actually set out to do something. That's not the point. If you want to start exercising, go outside and take a walk. If you want to start eating better, make it your next meal to choose vegetables and chicken over fried fish and macaroni and cheese. You can do anything that you want right here, right now. It's just about taking decisive action towards a solution. Zigzag and circle people get caught up on what they think is right. Zigzag and Zigzag and circle people get caught up on their feelings. They get caught up on what is it that everybody else is going to think of me, and they never actually take the first step into moving forward. Straight line leaders, straight line people don't do this. They don't just go through the motions. They determine if they're being productive. They see circumstances as neutral. Events have no meaning until useful meaning is applied through deliberate and purposeful language. Opportunities are constantly arising for the straight line person because they put themselves in the path for opportunities to be presented to them. Does that make sense? I know I'm getting super passionate about this. I hope that it's okay in your headphones or wherever you're listening from. They're not stuck in what bad news, quote unquote, bad news means. They're not stuck in their complaints They see the situation as is, and they do something about it with the resources that are available to them. Do what you can, where you're at, with what you have. A straight line individual uses words and actions that are most effective in creating movement from point A to point B. Their language creates an invented future, and then they declare what action is necessary. They make a plan, they strategize, and they're committed. They create a stance in which they know what they will do or what they will not do, regardless of what happens or doesn't happen. It's not based upon external circumstances, right? It's based upon what you want to do within yourself, who you are, what you define yourself as, and how you are going to move forward. Nobody else defines this. At a certain point or another, we learn within ourselves that we must define our life. We must define our commitments. We allow and we choose for others to take over, and we might not even know it. It might not even be conscious. It might be an unconscious thing that we're doing. But it's true. Either way, we do it. We choose whether we are circle people, whether we are zigzag people, or whether we are straight line leaders, straight line people, right? So which one are you? I'm curious. Which one are you? Do you identify with one of these? Do you identify with all three of these? There are certain times in certain fields and certain aspects where we are straight line leaders, straight line people, where we're zigzag people, where we're circles, where we're stuck in those circles. And it's cool. Like, it all works, right? Don't get me wrong. But just realize that whatever stance you're in, it's not good or bad. And whatever stance, whatever person that you identify as, it's not good or bad. It just means that you're going to get a certain type of result that's desirable or undesirable. If you're a circle person, you're probably not going to feel good about yourself, and you're not going to have those desired results in your life. You're not going to have the desired emotions that you want to feel. If you're zigzag, they're going to be a little bit more fleeting. But if you're a straight line person, you're going to take the most effective and efficient action in order to move forward to become that person that you want to become. It's as simple as that. However, it's not necessarily easy. So I want to leave you with a story about an old Cherokee chief who was telling his grandson about a fight that was going inside of him. And he said it's a terrible fight that he has going inside of him. And it's a fight between two wolves. One of those wolves is evil. He's angry. He's bitter. He's sorrowful. He has regret. He has greed. He's self-pity. He's arrogant. He's guilty. He feels inferior. He feels insecure. He lies. There's a false sense of pride. There's superiority. There's entitlement. The ego. It's huge. There's self-doubt. There's envy. And he says, there's another wolf inside of me that's good, faithful, compassionate, empathetic, benevolent, kind, generous, serene, peaceful, humble, honest, radically honest. And he said, this fight is going on inside of every single person, the grandfather told the boy. So the grandson, he thought about it for a minute, and then he asked his grandfather, but he said, which wolf will win? Is it going to be the good wolf or the evil wolf? The old chief simply replied, the one that you feed. It's your choice which wolf is going to win. It's your choice which person you will be. Whether it's the circular person, the zigzag, or you have that straight line approach. If you're interested in learning more about these three people, these three identities, please check out the book Straightline Leadership. I loved it, by Dusan, Dusan, Jukich, Djukich, Straightline Leadership. Tools for living with velocity and power in turbulent times. I got to give a shout out to the guy who told me about this, Landon Porter. He's with the Sales Gorilla. He is one of my marketing and sales coaches, but it's not really about marketing and sales, is it? I hope you have a great day. I love you. I want to let you know that you're unstoppable and that you are who you create yourself to be. Have a great day and go unlock your excellence. Peace.